Welcome to a new episode of Hello World. Today we're going to speak about digital transformation in enterprises. So digital transformation is obviously always a challenge, but imagine doing it in an enterprise like Ikea, for example. So when you have basically actually a quite analog business to start with the stores and the catalog and so on. How do you take on trying to digitalize that? And what do you need to do to make that change that incorporates both people, employees, but also the consumer and the customer? And we all know that those are, they are many, so to say. So today we have the opportunity to speak with Mercedes, who's worked more than 18 years for Ikea. She's led the digital transformation and innovation within Ikea. And has a deep understanding and expertise in both IT and business, which I think is crucial to succeed, actually. She pioneered the digital transformation with Ikea and was at time also head of Ikea.com. She then left Ikea and went on to become digital director of at Clarks in UK. And she's now a highly sought after digital advisor, innovation coach, and we are, of course, extremely happy to welcome her as our guest. So welcome to the show, Mercedes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for joining. It's impressive to hear about your career. There must be many learnings, and we're really happy that we are able to get some of your learnings today.
Happy to share.
Yeah, welcome. First of all, I want to say something about your LinkedIn profile. I mentioned it before to you, and I'm still impressed. I have read many LinkedIn profiles during the years, and you have, on a very detailed level, described your track record as well as the measurable results. So it says something about you, and we will come into that later on. But first of all, as Kim mentioned, you have been working for a very, very well-known retailer within the furniture industry, a Swedish one, Ikea. I think that most of you have some kind of furniture at home from them. And you have been involved in their digital transformation since 2010. Can you describe overall the project and why it was so important to success based on the new era Ikea went into?
Yeah, happy to do that. I think we need to go back to the year 2010, as you were mentioning, where we're starting to test the waters in e-commerce. And the reason why it was so important to go into that new channel and open that opportunity for our customers is because the customers were demanding it. Ikea is far away from the city centers and very often not so reachable for everybody. And we want it to be for everybody. And one of the reasons why our customers were demanding it is because they could not access the store. So online became a way to reach more people and give them the opportunity to have the beautiful homes they deserve. So we embarked the e-commerce journey with a lot of mixed feelings in the whole company, of course. And one of the key assets to be able to do that, of course, is a proper website as well as a good distribution network with supply chain, warehousing, and logistics. So we embarked in that project. One of the things we discovered at the time was that the web was not ready, and neither technically the infrastructure was very scattered, and the performance were not on the top of the level that the company needed. Neither the organization was ready. We didn't have centralized, well-skilled, prepared organization to run e-commerce. So we needed to do everything from the beginning. But one of the things that was very obvious already there, it was that we didn't understand what was the role of the web. So everything started with creating the first, now we will call it a digital strategy. At that time, we call it a web strategy. Because if you are going to incorporate a new channel in a business model, you need to define the role of the channel. You need to create a purpose for that channel. You need to put objectives. So we did that. We spent a lot of time creating that strategy. It was a very highly cross-collaboration effort from everybody, from the product development the whole way down to the stores, to make sure that we understood what that strategy will mean. And it was approved in the top level of the company. And then the web got a name, got a role, and got a place. Now we needed to implement it. That's the difficult part, of course. So that was the starting of the project. And the first thing we did was, of course, looking back into the infrastructure. And we decided very early that we needed a completely different platform, technical platform, that embraced it as well, CRM, so we could take care of our customers properly. And the most important was the supply chain, needed as well to be changed. So it became a massive program, the multi-channel program, with the back and the front. And you can imagine it touched everything in the company. I don't think there was one single unit that was not impacted by that big change in ways of working, in processes, in capabilities, technical and human capabilities. And we needed to change things like even how we measure the store's result. What is the role of a co-worker in a store when you introduce a new website? And making sure that we were fair as well, who gets the sales, as simple as that, to avoid from the beginning to go into protecting KPIs and protecting performance of different units. So it was massive, much bigger than we could imagine in the beginning, of course.
Of course.
How many people were involved in the project?
The multi-channel program was, I don't know, several hundreds, and I'm not kidding. It was one of the biggest programs in Europe. Yeah. And we have big muscles with us. IBM was a big supplier of everything that came with the integration. That was massive. I think there was not one single person on IT or on business that was in one way or another not touched by the multi-channel program. So it demanded a completely massive governance around how to steer such a program. And I have the fortune to be sitting in the steering board of that program for many years together with the top of the company. And I will say I learned so much through that journey. We all did. We went through a lot of trainings. You needed to train from the beginning on agile development, how to make decisions, impacts of things that were not part of neither the business processes, neither the business model of the company. So it was a massive undertaking, and everybody took it very seriously, very hard, and super committed from the beginning. Yep. So it was impressive.
Did you meet Ingvar?
Oh, very little, to be honest. I didn't have that fortune. I think at the time he's starting to be less and less involved, even in big decisions. I remember when I was presenting the web strategy, he was not in the room. His sons were in the room, but he was not there. I don't know if I was happy or unhappy about that, to be honest. He did have a lot of opinions about digital, and he has been a very good supportive of IT investments in the past. But digital and the stores, he did have a little bit of hesitation, and it's natural. Everybody was protecting the crown, the jewel of the crown of Ikea, but it's our stores where our customers meet the brand in a completely different way than in many other brands. Yeah. They were a little bit worried about the cannibalization, of course, and that the store will not get the role that always had in the heart of the brand of Ikea, and it still has. Yeah. And it still has.
You said that when we spoke earlier as well that it took quite some time actually to get started with the first project, and you were very persistent in making it happen because you understood the importance of laying the right foundation for the journey going ahead. What would you say were sort of your learnings from that period in terms of how to work with change management to succeed? What were sort of the pitfalls and what were the enablers?
Well, a lot of them, a lot of pitfalls, and we learned the hard way in many different projects and many different initiatives. But one of the things that is a little bit particular in this kind of development in digital environments, and when you are working with enterprise more than anything else, is that sometimes we just focus on the front end, where you see an app. How difficult can that be? An app cannot cost that much money. And then you get into those kind of discussions that what you don't understand is with the big first, let it call it, transactional app comes a lot of infrastructure. And I remember that the first time we released a mobile app we call it the companion of our customers in the stores, because we really wanted to help the store journey through mobile phones. We needed to implement a lot of the backends, like proxy layers. We developed the first API for that mobile app. And those things are costly if you're going to do it as a capability, not dirty, quickly out in the market. You wanted to build something that is sustainable so you can start to lay down the foundations for mobile applications, mobile development, and for a much more service-oriented architecture where you can connect APIs to the world. So the first projects were very expensive, and when they are so expensive, the results are not so predictable because it's new. You don't know if it's going to be used or not. You don't know if you're going to be successful or not. It's a very difficult journey. Yeah. And it requires a lot of resilience. It requires a lot of trust from the top of the company, the ones that make the decision that these things are necessary. And then it's very obvious that it requires a lot of collaboration between IT and business to secure that there is a good understanding and a good trust of the different competences, that we are doing things to lay foundations that will be big enablers for growing the business. But back in the 2011-12, those things were very, very new for everybody, and they were new for us as well. So we went into a lot of those discussions and a lack of understanding why suddenly digital was expensive. Everybody was very used to spend money in physical investments like the infrastructures, the stores. But when you are asking for an investment in a digital capability, it became in the same eye as you always look of IT, classic IT, where you are expecting them to be more efficient every year and like a cost efficiency waves. And digital is a positive because you grow in your capabilities, and it becomes like any other business investment, something that you need to keep it up to make sure that it's not deteriorated, that still can deliver the growth to your customers. So those things were very, very early days for Ikea as well, and difficult to put it in the right frame, so to say.
Yeah. So how did you succeed? What did you do to sort of still make it happen, so to say? Because I think it's interesting what you're speaking about, because I have the feeling, I mean, you're speaking 2010, but I feel we have the same discussion 2020 with many of our customers still, that it's scary to put the investment in digital. It's difficult to know what is the ROI. We might not know exactly what we're going to get out of it and when we're going to, because still it's, I mean, not maybe e-commerce, but there are lots of things we're investing in where it's a new landscape. We're doing new things that hasn't been done before. It's easy to buy a new factory. I know exactly what I'm going to get out of that. But when I invest the same amount of money, for example, in digital investments, what is it I'm getting? So my feeling is that we still have that same. So what will you say sort of, what should you think about to succeed in that discussion, so to say?
Well, I can go back to how we used to argue about that, and I can even make that parallel to Clark's, because we as well develop a digital strategy that require new capabilities in the company, capabilities didn't exist before. I think it's very important that you think through digital, not like single purpose investments, and you start to see what a capability roadmap should look like. And they started to predict a little bit, to visualize, okay, if these are the wins and these are the growths we need to generate, these are the foundation capabilities, investment that we will need in a digital world. And when you put it in a way that is more wider, like a capability building and not just a single purpose feature or a nice to have kind of engagement tool, then you start to see what is the foundation and where are the returns that will be multiplied by deploying several capabilities at the same time. I think you need to have a very good architectural mindset when you are laying the foundation for your digitalization, a combination between growth enablers, efficiency enablers as well, and making sure that you are bringing with you your organization, not splitting them in a lot of different touch point ways of working and tools, that you start to consolidate some of those foundations and making their life a little more easy. So one of the things that has been a success factor is painting what kind of integrations, what kind of synchronizations, what kind of merge of different capabilities this digitalization is going to allow you. An example of those was when I came to class, they have like 4 different web platforms that requires a lot of heavy maintenance. So when you are laying the foundation for the next new digital capability, you need to start to paint the roadmap, say we are going to start to merge into this platform all these different touch points that you have today to serve your customers. A little bit was the same with Ikea. We have a very scattering landscape. When we were looking into mobile apps, if we go back to that, countries were developing their own apps for marketing purpose, for many other different things, for engagement kind of funny things, but they didn't lie in a foundation. And we were starting to get the understanding that all these different tools will require a lot of maintenance and time that you people will need to spend in supporting something that is not going to be sustainable moving forward. So think capabilities, don't think just features or front end, and build foundations. Don't build just small solutions, quick and dirty, go to the market, where it's a little bit sometimes a contradiction because you feel like agile and digitalization should be fast, you should land, fail fast. Yes, all that is fine. MVPs, yes, I have been driving a lot of MVPs, but at the end of the day, you need to have a core foundation that you know that you are going to be growing on. Yep. So think reusability, think capabilities, and not just blips in the radars, because then your investment will be repeated and not catching back to your company the benefits you were expecting. So good collaboration with a good architecture that is laying the foundation. Think a little bit 2 years at least ahead. Look into what are the capabilities you are spreading around your company and your customers. Try to consolidate the big ones, the ones that have heavy processes for your coworkers as well. And that will make the investments a little more easy, because you see that even if the return of the first investment is not so big, the return of the second and the third implementation start to kick in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, you have had lots of other positions than Ikea, but we have to stay there for another question. Kim, have you seen this edition before?
No, I haven't. Very nice.
Okay. It's the best Ikea catalog edition.
I can imagine that you think that, yeah.
Yes. So one of the holy grails for Ikea has been the printed catalog. I've heard that it is the largest printed catalog project in the world. Yeah. And as you know as well, people in Sweden, probably more than Swedish people, they have labels on the post boxes. No advertising, but please Ikea catalog. So I have grown up with the Ikea catalog coming in the post boxes, but not anymore. You were involved in to add on the digital parts to the Ikea catalog from the beginning. We are very curious about that as well. So can you say something about it?
Well, we were entering the time where digitalization was on the table. And it's a little bit of a contradiction where you started to implement digital marketing tools, and still a big portion of the budget went to the printed catalog. So we came into that kind of dilemma. It was a lot of debate around if the catalog is dead or is not dead, because everything is on the website. Why do you need a catalog, and so on and so forth. So it was a lot of dilemmas and big discussions internally and externally as well. It's a lot of money. It's printed paper, sustainability. You can imagine. When you go to those volumes, these questions become very big. There is true as well that it has had a very important role in many people. Some people, the only thing that they could afford in terms of decoration and home decoration was a Ikea catalog, because it was free, and there was a lot of inspiration that were on the table. So on the hearts and on the minds of the many people, there was a huge role of the catalog. But the time was there where we needed to show a little bit of innovation, even in that side, because it's difficult to create a wow effect, and then at the same time it comes a print catalog and nothing happens there. So we were being a little bit scattered in the presence that we wanted to have in the minds of the people. It was the time as well that the web was demanded a lot of digital pictures as well. 3D pictures were extremely important for the experience on the website. if you want to do good zoom image, if you want to make sure that the image are very well equipped for being consumed by digital devices, we needed to go into 3D. So we were experimenting how can we create a mix kind of experience, digital and physical, and the catalog was a very good carrier for that kind of wow effect. We were in very early days of virtual reality and augmented reality, and we managed to get a company in US that was good on that kind of technology. So carefully chosen some icon products in the catalog became 3D products, 3D images, and we managed to create an augmented reality experience, merging the mobile application with the catalog. So we were sure that there was a mobile interaction with the catalog. And the idea was to keep it alive a little bit longer than the weeks that we knew by research that the catalog is on the front head of the people. So how can we prolong the relevance of the catalog? How can we keep it interesting and alive through the seasons of the year, making sure that people are coming back to the catalog and looking for things? So it became the first augmented reality project where you could place the catalog in a corner, and then we could measure it with the phone. It was very early days, so you probably will be laughing now. And then it appears the product in 3D, and it could move. Some products were complex assembling and have some features, so it was very well candidates for create some kind of animation. So you could see amazing beds where you could see all the storage under the bed and how to open it. And it was a really wow effect and create a lot of buzz in the news that Ikea has done it. And we were one of the first one coming out in that kind of immersive reality with print and digital. So it was a very, very interesting project. It captured the attention of the board as well. They were very excited about the experience we could bring to our customers in such early days. And actually it put back the catalog, the printed catalog in an arena where they never been before. They were a little bit of digital. And a lot of very interesting, you can say in the media, a lot of interesting results came of that. I don't know if you remember the book. Yeah. It was amazing, and it was a very funny way of putting the catalog back into the news, into the word of mouth. So it gave to the catalog a revitalization. They were more actual in the minds or hearts of the people. And that was the intention. We wanted to make it sure that it didn't came into the shadows of digital, that it's possible to live still in the printed world with digital advantage. And then 3D became an icon change maker for the company, not only for the printed catalog, as well for digital marketing, and one of the biggest assets that we needed for the web and the mobile experience, to have 3D images of our beautiful products. And then it made that the production got a completely different flexibility. But it was a change that was not easy, because we needed to move from the traditional way of taking pictures. I don't know if you know, Ikea Communications in Elmhorn is one of the biggest studios in the world. It's so impressive. And those muscles and those capabilities were very analog, were very printed. And now I can say with a lot of pride, because I saw that journey in Ikea Communication, they are superheroes in 3D printing, in immersive reality. Really, really good job that came out of that organization. But the change was already there back in 2000, probably 14, if I don't remember wrong, 15, something like that.
Yeah. So what we're seeing now is retailers overall, and Ikea as well, and now we're seeing the digital transformation sort of on a full scale, involving the e-commerce on full scale, supply chain and so on. And we're adding digital aspects to physical products as well, which obviously means that suddenly we have different questions coming to customer service, to people in the stores and so on. So it's a sort of a change that needs to happen along the way that involves the many people in the store, so to say, in terms of employees. What was the experience around that, or what is your experience from that transition, so to say?
It's not an easy one because, of course, you need to think in so many different dimensions when you are incorporating digital products in a physical environment. Everything from the skills of the sales forces, so the people that are meeting the customers, and now they get questions that they even have a clue what the customers are talking about. Sometimes customers come into our co-workers with more knowledge that our co-workers have because they were employed and they have been living in the world of home decoration and home furnituring. And then suddenly they need to answer questions around, for instance, a smart TV. It's like, wow, a smart TV, what do I know about smart TV? But we can talk about the store, where the TV is sitting on. So it's a very difficult change. And there is so many aspects like life cycle of products. The life cycle of producing a furniture is completely different than the life cycle to producing digital services. They move in different speeds. And as they move in different speeds, a lot of things happen that your processes are not adapted to that dual speed of products. And what happens with, for instance, updates? You don't update a table, but you need to update an app. You need to update maybe the software that is, steering your lamps, with demands that you need to put new processes in place that keeps the products alive in a different kind of shape and environment than just producing exactly the same product again and again and again. Those things were not part of neither the processes of the company, neither the knowledge of how to handle those huge differences. And then you can see that from call centers, I needed to be involved very early before we launch products and making sure that all the co-workers confronted with customers in terms of giving them support on how to utilize the product needed to be, educated in completely different matters. And you need to differentiate as well, because not everybody can be an expert on a smart TV or home decoration. Now, for instance, with the merge of Sono and Ikea, those requires a different kind of knowledge, and knowledge that you need to keep it updated because things happen with the product. You can have a default, you can have a bug, you can have many different things that happen. But one of the things that we could understood very, very early is the IT is very well equipped to do those things because they know how to handle support questions, they have the life cycle of products. So we needed to merge more the knowledge from how to deal with IT products into business. And that's a very, very big necessity. Going back to IT and business needs to be much more merged in terms of knowledge, because today very few things are just pure analog in companies that are working with consumer products. Yep. Not only the way you sell the things, but now even in the product itself.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a difficult time, but it's very exciting as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also thinking there's another challenge in terms of IKEA, because IKEA is for the many people. And when you start adding digital features and digital products and you need smartphones and some of that is not affordable for everyone, and some of the things are not applicable in all markets because you might not have the connectivity you need or infrastructure and so on as well. So it's sort of a little bit of a culture crash if you have that deep value in you as a company being for the many people. What's your take on that?
It is a big challenge, and it was already from the beginning. I remember the first mobile apps we were releasing, we were very keen to make sure that even first you should go out with Android, because Android phones are cheaper than iPhones. Now maybe they are very equal, but back in that time, the people that have an iPhone were people have a little bit of bigger wallet of huge interest, and money could be that way. And then you go the whole way to countries where mobile phones and smartphones were start being in the beginning. So we did have a lot of debates for whom are we doing these applications, because many people doesn't go around with an iPhone in the pocket. And it goes back to the values of the company and how you develop products that are flexible and not so depending on high-end devices. So it could be affordable and usable for everybody with a simple phone. And that needs to be think from the beginning. It needs to be thinking the usability, it needs to be think on the requirements, even the technical requirements necessary to be deployed in a different device. Because it becomes a culture thing, it needs to go through everything, from the design of the product, the usability, as well as the disposition of what kind of platform you're going to run this. But it's a difficult question. But if IKEA is good on one thing, and they're good on many things, is democratizing design. So even this experience with Sono, I think the products are very affordable. And then suddenly you make people that probably didn't have the money to buy the original, brand product. Suddenly they could afford to have an IKEA product with a very good quality. But then that needs to be think through everything from any touch point and any device. And it's not an easy task. No. You can see it in our communities as well. When we are putting more and more technology in mobile phones and more technology in digital devices, we create gaps in society. What about our older people? What about the people that doesn't growing up with a mobile phone in the pocket? Yeah. What about people that cannot see on the screen? So it demands, when you are for the many people that you think in many different dimensions, sometimes you need to rethink and reinvent what you are doing to make sure that you reach as many as possible. And that's a big effort. Yeah. And it needs to be a conscious effort as well. Yeah. So few companies think in those terms, and I know IKEA does in many different directions because of their vision. Yeah.
From furnitures to shoes. I like shoes, even if you can't see it today, but when I find shoes that I like, I buy them. And I've also had a couple of shoes from Clarks, actually. And 2 years ago, Mercedes, you left IKEA and you joined Clarks, a footwear company. So you left from furniture and embedded software to handmade shoes. So probably it was a total different, not only product as well, a different culture. So please, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges and experiences? I know that you nowadays is working on other kind of projects, but you spent some years at Clark. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the reason why I went to Clark's, apart because I love shoes, which woman doesn't love shoes, it was because I needed to disrupt myself as well. I mean, it started to be a little bit comfortable. Development happens when you come out of your comfort zone. So I felt that it's time for me to test the waters in another country. I'm not Swedish original, so it lives inside me a little bit of an adventure. So Clarks came along in a beautiful Somerset, and I felt that it was a great opportunity to try something new. To be honest, I went completely open, like a child. I didn't have any expectations, particularly in terms of, I'm going to find this and that. I was very excited from the beginning. I found a lot of ahas that I didn't thought in my head before I went there. I was not so sure about the English culture. Of course, we have a lot of colleagues in England from IKEA, but it's I never worked from England. I always worked with English people. What I found was it was a very conservative culture. And Clarks, that is 200 years old, you can imagine how conservative they are. They are still in the same spot that they were from the beginning, in a little village called Street, very close to Glastonbury in Somerset. Beautiful, beautiful, it's random beautiful. But the people were very, stuck in the past, and they were stuck in their success of the brand of 200 years old, the desert boots, the wallabies. Everybody knows Clarks, which is amazing because it's a brand that has managed to get to all the corners of the world. But I found that the people were too in love with the past and difficult to change. There were a lot of hesitations to change. So change management from day one came up to the agenda. If we're going to manage to do this digitalization, we really need to work with change management. My team was the only agile team, and they were just in the beginning, so trying to understand what agile meant for Clarks. The organization was not right set. They didn't have product teams. They tried to work agile, but with a lot of difficulties. IT and business were miles away from each other. What was another, whoa, now we are back on 2006, 2007 on IKEA. So it was that someone just put back the watch and say, you're going to do it again. But it was good because I could use a lot of my learnings. You were asking about pitfalls and learnings from the change process of IKEA. And to be honest, I have my backpack full with them. So I try to avoid the mistakes of the past. I try to focus very, very much from the beginning on change, embracing organizations, putting together business and IT was the first thing I did. I wanted to talk to my business colleagues from the beginning. And I wanted to make sure that people came on board. I didn't want to create the cool kids and the boring kids kind of team. IT was very stuck in SAP. So there was a lot of waterfall, SAP development, SAP processes. And we wanted and needed to put product teams, agile development, cloud infrastructure. So it was everything from the left and everything completely different from the back. And we need to find a balance. It's not that SAP is bad, not at all, or waterfall is a catastrophe, neither. But you need to get a balance how to merge those processes. And we put a lot of effort on that. Change management, communication, working together, taking baby steps, resilience, keeping going. I found a company that really wanted to change and didn't know how. They have a couple of change processes from the past that they didn't succeed. So they were very keen and needed very much to change the wheels this time. And we managed to create a digital governance. We put together business and IT as never before. We put in place the first digital strategy that was created together with our business colleagues. And when I left, I have 4 product teams working completely agile. We have agile coaches in the organization. We have the business people moving together with the IT people who were sitting in the same department for the first time in history. And magic started to happen, of course. But it was a very interesting journey. It was seriously like someone turned the watch back to 2048. And it was like, whoa, what just happened? Yeah. We came out of the tunnel of time.
So we're running out of time, unfortunately. I'm sure that you have so many more learnings and stories to share, and I'm really happy that we were able to reach you and get your time to share your stories. So thank you so much for joining, Mercedes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. So how to summarize this?
I don't know. I'm amazed. I'm really, really grateful to sort of having the opportunity to sort of look behind the scenes. I can just conclude the ability to have grit, to really persevere in your challenge, but also really getting people involved. But I'm really amazed by when you hear the story that we are still listening to many of the same types of challenges still 10 years later, to be honest. But of course, IKEA has been a pioneer in many aspects, and we know that they are still struggling with e-commerce and so on as well. So it's not that it's solved, but I think there are a lot of learnings to take on that we can apply on clients we have today, actually.
I think as well as the change management is the most impressive thing or most challenging things when it comes to this large kind of companies, but also when it comes to, which Mercedes mentioned, parts of when it comes to innovating around products. Yeah. Because I have a highly digital home, I would say, and I'm a user of, without blaming IKEA, I'm a user of a tråd-free system for the bulbs and so on, and the curtains, the digital curtains. But it's definitely so that IKEA, they are so far, they are not a software company. No. But they're implementing the digital parts or embedding it in more and more products. Yep. But you see when it comes updates, how things are working. If you want to have support, you find it on open forums instead of in the direct IKEA channels. So I think this will be a major challenge for all companies based on that. We are saying that the companies that will be the competitive ones will be having software as the unique the USP. So
I think there are plenty of challenges ahead, at least. So it's been really interesting to discuss. So thank you all for joining today, and follow us on LinkedIn so you make sure that you don't miss any future episodes, of course. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.